All right, folks, this is another episode of the We Digress podcast. Been gone for a bit, but we're back again. It's one of your hosts, Carlos, a.k.a. Silos, a.k.a. Holding It Down.
And it's your boy, D-Money, a.k.a. Mana the Sweet Like Honey, a.k.a. the Sweet Dominicana, a.k.a. I'm a Juicy Thing.
Oh, a.k.a. Sweet Condensed Milk.
Hey, yo! See, that's taking it too far. Today we got a special guest. Very, very special guest.
Very illustrious guest.
Wow, what an intro. Hi, this is your boy, Ariel, a.k.a. A-Train, a.k.a. Mr. Smooth. They called me that in college, a.k.a. Los Tres Golpes.
Ooh.
A-Train as in, like, you get a train ran on you? Or, like, what is going on? No, A-Train, like, the A-Train, like, they running the train on
like,
the...
Or A-Train as in delayed, the next stop is...
Yeah, like, you got to be specific, man. Nah. A-Train, I knew that was going to backfire on me. A-Train as in, one-man train. I got all the wagons, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Copy. One-man army?
Mm-hmm.
Copy. So, we're just going to start off with some geeky shit, some nerd shit.
All right.
I think we're all pretty much into comic books, superhero movies, all that good shit.
For sure.
I have a question for both of you. Marvel or DC? DC or Marvel?
This is...
If you had to choose...
If I had to choose between the two?
DC or Marvel?
This is an interesting question. This always lights a fire under a lot of people. People feel very strongly about their preferred comic distributor. I forgot what the actual but it's funny that you asked that because you left a lot of other ones out too. Like you got Image Comics, you have Dark Horse, all these other ones.
Right. But I feel like out of those,
fuck them niggas. DC and Marvel, here we go.
Well, because they're the titans of like
true story.
They're the freaking comic book titans of the industry.
True story.
What other industry is bigger than them?
I don't know. I don't know.
I would like somebody to message me afterwards. Let me know. Give me some sort of proof.
What the fuck, Silos? These guys are bigger. What the fuck is your problem? Do your fucking research. You're like, damn, chill out, man. I didn't know.
Well, they're the most relevant ones today.
Just consult the Google gods. I'm sure they'll give you everything you need. But to get back to the question, DC versus Marvel. Honestly, I'd have to go with Marvel. Just because, growing up, Marvel had a lot more influence in my life, specifically, thanks to Spider-Man, one of the, arguably the best, most well-known comic book character, like, period. And I grew up with a lot of Marvel, X-Men, Spider-Man in the 90s, those cartoons, those got me into the comics. I mean, I was too broke to actually buy the comics, but whenever I could get my hands on it, was always Spider-Man, X-Men, sometimes maybe a random whole comic here and there. So
that's crazy.
I'm
going to go back to that when talking about being too broke about buying comics. I'll come back to you. So how about our boy over here, D-Money?
Sweet like honey.
Okay.
I'm going to say Marvel as well. I'm not really a huge fan of DC. I never really liked their content too much. Their heroes are kind of, to me, sort of like, I think like a little backwashed.
For DC?
No offense. I mean, they do have unique characters, but in most of the sense, there are plenty of characters that are very similar to Marvel, and of course, Marvel to DC. But
there's always a guy that can turn on fire. There's always a guy that can
exactly.
Like there's a Superman in both. I feel equally.
So I feel like in terms of direction and how things are written and how things come together as a whole, the universe, I would say definitely Marvel.
Wow, that's crazy. So I think I'm gonna agree with you guys on this one. The Marvel for sure. But funny enough, I like growing up, other than liking like watching the X-Men comics of Spider-Man, watching the X-Men TV show, and then Saturday morning cartoons and watching Spider-Man and stuff. But I'm gonna say like, even though that's like Marvel's like the fucking gigantic fucking, how do you say, helm of the ship company today, DC superheroes have like a special place in my heart. Like I think my favorite superhero would be Superman. I don't know what it is.
Figures.
Oh, here we go.
Right.
Hold up.
Right?
So, like, my favorite superhero from like, if we had to weigh both franchises, it would be Superman. So, like, that holds a special place in my heart.
Actually, to piggyback on that, I will admit this. As a child, now, I was born. I'm not gonna say that.
In the 80s.
So you know what? No, never mind.
You're born in the 80s.
So I was born in '87.
You're
right?
80s babies.
Yeah. And one of the first superheroes I saw growing up as a kid was Batman and Superman. Those were the first two. The first two that I was exposed to, because by then there were other cartoons, Marvel and DC, that were very old, that were out, But like, I don't know if you ever saw the Super Friends. It's hilarious. But those were the first two I saw, and it was the live action movies, Superman, Christopher Reeve, and Batman with Michael Keaton. Those were classic, right? Jack Nicholson, Joker. I mean, like, he's iconic, right?
Yeah, it's super.
That's what I grew up with. That's what got me into the superheroes in the first place. So even though my start was with DC, in that medium, the movie medium,
right.
Marvel would always capture my heart.
Right.
I guess if you want to,
you betrayed DC and you moved over.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I had never really chosen. I liked them all. It wasn't until a little bit later that I realized that I was always drawn more towards Marvel. Those were the comics that I got initially. There were, let's see, I actually used to go to this library not too far from here. You ever been down Morrison Avenue? It intersects with, is it Westchester Ave?
Well,
No, not Honeywell Library. The one on Morrison Ave.
The New York
by the
Public.
6 train. By the photo studio. What's that main Ave that's right there?
Like Basado Boulevard?
No.
So you're talking about under the 6th line.
Yeah, it's like right by the 6th line. But I don't know what that stop is right there. There's like a McDonald's right there. There's
it's on the 6th line in the borough.
No, it's not Parkchester. It's like man. No, not on that side.
It's in the 6th. It's by.
I think the actual train stop is Morrison Avenue, if I'm not mistaken.
Or Morrisiana.
No, Morrison.
Yeah,
there's a library there. I used to walk there from here. It took me like 15 minutes to walk there. In junior high school, and I would walk. Morrison Avenue.
Oh, and you know what's there too on that corner?
What?
I remember now. There was like a bakery there. Right
Yes.
after the bakery.
Yes.
On the other block.
Yes.
Studio. After that, it's a deli.
I bought some donuts and some cupcakes there.
Yeah. And then when you wrap around the corner, there's the public library.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would go in there, and I went in there for a different reason. I just wanted a book. I read a lot when I was younger. I just wanted a book, like a.
It's a bookworm.
I'm not gonna deny that. I wanted a book, fiction book, and I get in there and I'm looking in, and I just see these like colorful titled books. I'm like, what is this? And they had a very small collection of comic books.
Right.
The first comic book that I borrowed from that library was The Death of Superman.
That was the first
comic book I borrowed.
What? I would have stopped reading comic books after that.
I read The Death of Superman. That was the first one. And then I would come back and I would keep borrowing other comics there. I borrowed Batman Nightfall when it was like the book right after Batman gets his back broken. His back broken. Hey fucking yo!
That must have been the adult section.
But the same thing happened to me. But I went to get Chinese food, and no racist shit.
No, I
went to get Chinese food.
Like, we all do that.
And,
we all did that.
Yeah.
there was comics, and of course it's like manga comics, and I was like, oh, like what's this? And he was like, oh, like he was telling me not to look at that, and he told me to look at a different like manga.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. It was hentai.
He was in the hentai section.
It was in the hentai section. That was my first comic, hentai.
He redirected you to the hentai
He
section?
redirected me to hentai.
Oh my god.
It was lit. It was lit. Back to your story.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to find out how that turned out later. But so I kept going back, and all the comics that they had, they were mostly DC. I don't think there were actually any Marvel comics there. So I got introduced to a lot of DC comics. So yes, I am a big fan of Superman. I'm a big fan of Batman.
However,
I'm a big fan of Green Lantern as well. Actually,
that is true.
That's into this dick, bro. That's into this dick. I don't know if they can hear me.
Wow. So that's kind of where I got my start, and then eventually I made my I guess according to you my betrayal to Marvel.
I think I might attack you, Silos.
Okay. On what?
Superman.
What about?
I used to like Superman a lot, right?
He likes his abs.
He likes when he takes his glasses off and rips his shirt.
Yeah, but
Ooh, tear it off. No. Yo, you guys got to see his face right now. He's
you
like,
should see your face right now. The oxygen is escaping.
oh my God.
All right, so
All right.
tell me, what don't you like about Superman?
so
what
I'm-
pisses you off?
So
What irks you?
or it's about Superman and in turn DC. So where do I start? Well, when I was younger, aside from the hentai, I gravitated towards Superman. He was kind of like, he was a go-to guy. Like, oh my God, like look at all the powers he has. Like, look at all that he can do. Like, but then, you know, as I grew into like high school and college, like going into philosophy and like actually like studying how like ethics and morals work, I really got to think like Superman's a fucking bitch, bro. Like on some real shit. Like in terms of ethics and morality, like here's a guy who has the ability to change so much, but refuses to because of like, in turn, he's ethically sound, of course, but he's also too ethical, as in like he doesn't know when to pull the gun. Plenty of times like he does some bitch shit. We all know that. And then I guess this is attack to DC as well.
Right. Okay.
You know I'm a stickler for like power levels and shit like that, you know?
Oh, okay.
And I'm a big stickler for that. And one thing I hate about DC is that like they pit Superman against Batman. And the reason I say that is because like you give this guy feats that he can move at the speed of light. You know, he can lift like quintillion tons. Not a fucking ton, quintillion tons. I can't even fucking imagine that, first of all. That's like billions of planets stacked up on each other, basically. And when I think about that in terms of like fighting Superman wouldn't even, fighting Batman wouldn't even be able to like attempt to reflex to grab a fucking piece of kryptonite. If Superman could move at the speed of light, Batman wouldn't even be able to fucking process the fact of even grabbing kryptonite. And of course, Batman is a genius, but everybody knows that, you know, with genius, there comes a time where it's also very limiting, because no matter how smart you are, if somebody can move at the speed of light, you can't react to that. If somebody can move, carry 6 trillion tons, you can't react to that. Superman can fucking throw a baseball from Canada to New York, and Batman would not be able to dodge that. Full force. Batman's like, bitch, I got kryptonite. Superman's like, nigga, I'm in Canada. I'm in Toronto with Drake. And I'm gonna kill you from here, nigga.
Right.
And it's like, Batman's like, oh, well, you say it like that. Like,
Right.
So, what do you have to say?
I guess, but like, I guess to your rebuttal, like mostly, like, all right, so obviously his only weakness is, for the most part, the known weakness, universal weakness is green kryptonite.
His weakness is his moralities as well.
Right. Also, I'm like a lot of superheroes.
He's weak to magic too. Did you know that?
I forgot about that.
I don't know.
He is also
He's also weak to magic, which is why, you know, his attack.
I'm pretty sure green kryptonite.
That's a bitch shit. What do you mean magic?
Yo, you could be like Expelliarmus, and you're disarming him.
Nigga, Harry Potter beats Superman. Expecto Patronum, bitch.
Oh my
Bro, nigga, what's that? The Avada Kedavra, whatever. He's like done.
He said Wingardium Leviosa, lifted him in the air.
Oh my god.
I should have never invited both of you. All right, so to defend Superman's armor.
All right.
Obviously, he's weak to green kryptonite, but
All kinds of kryptonite.
Superman, because he knows he's such a dangerous person. If he didn't have all that ethical morality bullshit going on, the good shit, he usually gives green kryptonite to whoever he thinks can stop him. And Superman thinks in his mind that Batman, a normal human being,
That's the dumbest shit I ever. Yo, wait, don't give it to Green Lantern, the second strongest nigga on the planet. Give it to the weakest fucking superhero.
Wait, but that's the thing. Because
Nah, you know what it is?
not-
It's not Superman that thinks that Batman can stop him. It's the people who are writing the Superman comic book that think Batman can stop Superman. That's the real problem.
All right, so apart from the writers picking that choice, but it's just like, because Batman is a normal human being and because you kind of want to root for the underdog, human beings are almost always the underdog, but because it's being written by human beings, obviously. But
Selfish as fuck.
right, you're right. It should be giving to, like, why not give it to another alien force who's just as powerful, like almost equally as powerful as he is?
Because most of those characters are evil, I think.
Right. But it's always shown that, like, humans, even though we're probably the worst pieces of shit in the universe, and for some reason it seems that we can, like, when they come together and they have like a common cause, they can like do good and fight against evil. They're not gonna overcome an evil Superman, because there's universes where evil Superman just wins by default,
Annihilates everyone.
right? In which they've shown that Batman can lose
Yeah.
to an evil Superman, but he gives it to him regardless, because Batman's. I don't think it's just because his intelligence. It's just because, like, Batman in the face of evil or some sort of great problem, whatever, he's gonna
not.
fight.
He's basically not Buns, bro.
He doesn't give up until he.
I don't know if he's like brave or fucking retarded sometimes.
It might be a mixture of
It's
both.
a mix.
Yeah.
It's like, like
Right.
So,
you see a nigga lift a building, like, and it's like,
So wait a
I could
minute.
take him.
Hi, I'm gonna head out. Like,
Yeah. Why? Why are you in your bat cave wanting to do that? Like,
Right.
I will say this. Superman is pretty cool. So
he's your ideal
he
superhero.
yeah, he's like, so actually,
Perfect. He's, in a sense, what we would consider like a perfect superhero.
Right.
yeah. So I mean, if I remember correctly, Superman was created in the 1930s or 1930s, right? 1938, no,
It was like a 32 or 20.
something like that.
In the early 1900s.
Forget, we don't know the exact year, but and he. Oh yeah, you could. That's right. The Google gods. The Google gods are
So
the most.
while you're talking,
They're the most powerful in this universe.
while you're talking,
we call
about
upon you, Google gods. We call upon you.
And Superman was created in a time that, where a character like that who could defy the odds and represent like the best ideals, well, at the time of the American people.
1938.
Oh, thank you.
You guys are pretty close.
Yeah, and he was created to embody that, right? Like that, the best spirit of the American people, right? Because before it used to be truth, justice, the American way. Now they just write them as just truth and justice. They don't mention the American part, which is probably a good idea. But nobody come looking for me.
You don't want Superman fucking portraying the current ideals.
But like,
It might be a little bit oppressive.
Especially like a German Superman, fucking Uberman. Like, it'll be over, bro. Yeah, Uberman.
Yeah, you don't want-
chill, bro. But he's supposed to represent the best of us, and like a lot of, if you read a lot of his comics, the way he's always written is that people end up saying, at the end of the story, it's like, oh man, Superman is one of the people who's the most human of us all, right? Like he represents that, like the best of us, right?
Right.
So in that aspect, he's pretty cool, but. We've been shitting on Batman for quite a while now, and I just wanted to go like on a quick Batman. The character of Batman, his story is pretty dark, right? And he's gone through a lot, and now he gets himself to the point where he's like an amazing human being. He's still a human being. I mean, he's an above average human being, but he's still an amazing human being. And Batman kind of represents that dark side, I think, of some of the best people. Everyone.
A night between Batman. It's like a
Yeah.
night type of thing. Right?
Yeah, and at first when they were written, when they started writing them together, like they were always at odds because they have the different ideals, the different approaches they have to what they perceive to be justice, right?
Right.
So that they are like represent like that top level, anti-hero almost versus like the ideal hero in all of like DC Comics, right? Like if Marvel's top character, and I'm sure other people might argue, but if Marvel's top character is Spider-Man, let's say, and I don't know who I would put next to Spider-Man, maybe Captain America or some, I'm not sure who the other top character is, but like on DC is definitely Superman, Batman, and I would even say Like, you know, you have Wonder Woman up there, you have like the Flash up there, in terms of like those characters that present like the sometimes the best of us. Batman is still pretty up there in that sense, right? Even if he doesn't have the superpowers and all that.
In terms of popularity, I think when people name their first superhero, they probably name a DC character. They probably either name Batman or Superman.
Yeah.
Like, they are probably the most iconic superheroes of all time.
Right.
Like, honestly speaking, and even if it, like, you know.
Actually, funny, real quick. Have you ever? So I think the reason why is because I think that DC usually does better. For the most part, when it comes to the animated media, and actually sometimes the movies. I mean, now not so much because Marvel definitely took over that market. But back then, 80s and 90s, I don't know. Have you the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen in my life? There's an old Fantastic Four movie.
Oh God.
And I didn't know about this until recently. There is an old Fantastic Four movie that basically Marvel just doesn't want you to remember. It's so bad. If you guys find this online, you're going to laugh. It's so bad. I actually didn't even finish watching the movie because it was so bad. The effects were weird.
It was in the 90s?
Like the
No, I think if it was in early 90s, it might have been late 80s. I'm not sure what the year was, but it was bad. It was like on TV one day. You might be able to find the DVD online. I'm not sure. Like, I don't even know. I don't think it was even released in theaters.
I don't even think people would have torrent that. Like, people don't want to put that up there. Like, it's embarrassing.
That's one of those things they don't want you to know about.
That's funny. But, and you know, you're talking about all this comic stuff. In reality, I think the most creative of all comics is manga. Manga is a comic, but
Oh yeah.
for sure manga blows American comics out the water in terms of creativity, imagination. Like, you see shit that you do not see and you would not have even thought of in your lifetime sometimes with manga and anime. It's very different, very, very different concept.
I would say if you want to be more constrained in terms of like how far imaginative comic books would go, you stick to American comic books. Or just, the regular how comic books are usually
which is
made.
why this is why I hate American comics actually.
Because they kind of like they
restrict
rules.
themselves and they don't see it sometimes how much they restrict themselves.
Yeah.
And when you look at anime, you're like, how the fuck did they think of this shit? Like, like even it varies. Like, manga varies so much.
Yeah.
You have Death Note on one end. It's like, who would have fucking thought about writing a book where you could just write somebody's name and they fucking die?
Right.
That sounds lit. Like, wait.
Hold up.
I fucking hate my mom. Like, it's like, whoa, wait. It's not. And then it also varies into things like Naruto. I mean, we've all seen concepts of ninja, but not in that sense. We've never seen ninja in that type of sense.
Right.
Chakra, using like,
using Rasengan
fucking lightning and shit like that. Then we have One Piece, the second longest running manga
it's
of all
it's
time.
up there. There's other ones, but that one's pretty much.
Fun fact though about One Piece, it's not popular in the Western market like Dragon Ball Z is, which is probably what Dragon Ball Z is probably like the most popular Western anime. For sure. We all grew up on Dragon Ball Z, on Toonami, or whether it be, Cartoon Network.
Classic.
The classic.
Toonami was pretty fucking
Toonami was lit. Toonami was well lit. But One Piece isn't popular here, but it actually, the revenue, it makes more than any other manga, and it's only popular in the Asian market. So it's that lit.
Yeah.
What do you think about anime or manga?
Love anime, love manga. Favorite manga? Oof. Hajime no Ippo. Boxing and manga, which me
hentai not included. Let's add that. What do you think about manga? Hentai not included.
Yeah, that's more of a pastime. Manga's like a hobby. All right, this concludes this podcast. See you next week.
Yo, I hope you cleaned your keyboard before I got here, bro.
I cleared my history before. I always clear my history before any family members visit.
Actually, I have to agree with you guys. The first time I was exposed to manga, and
I thought he was gonna say the first time I was.
yo, come on, guys! Like, nah, man. No. The first time I was exposed to actually, I was exposed to anime first, and then after that, I started figuring. I actually didn't find out about manga until I got to college, because a lot of people. I thought I was nerdy, you know, just to use it in that sense.
I know the feeling you.
And when I got there,
I was the only one.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt. But when I got there, my world, whole new world, like it was just like OD.
You know what's crazy? Like a lot of people, especially I think it's because of like where we grew up, like Western living. Like when they see Western civilization, when they see anime, they think of it as a cartoon. They think of it as what they used to see as children when they watch X-Men or when they watch Spider-Man or when they watch the Avengers in cartoon form. But it's like, bitch, do you know what happens in anime? You have no like dudes get their heads cut off. People like they get eaten, they get raped. Like it's real. Like anime world is real.
Right, yeah.
Dude,
it's
let me tell you.
So that's a cut you off.
Not for children.
My first,
I mean,
certain anime, but like
once you become like a teenager, that's when you kind of like start really getting into it.
When it comes to like Western, like what we know as cartoons, it's not the same as like what we view as anime. It's not the same at all. So like it took a while. I think now it's shifted. You see a lot of like people like really complimenting or like, you know, going for anime, saying anime is cool now because they've realized that it's a different ball game. Like things are completely different like in anime than it is what we know as cartoons here.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing about anime to me, manga and anime as an extension,
big titties or like
actually I was kind of going in that direction. So I'm glad that's a perfect segue.
I was thinking big titties.
So the funny thing is that, you know, animes tend to they cover a lot of different adult themes, right? And some cartoons, some Western cartoons in the 90s did this too. Like X-Men, I think was a little bit ahead of its time in terms of, like I don't think that cartoon was really meant was for kids in the sense of some of the topics they tackled. Like you had Wolverine, like trying to be, you know, he was trying to apply for side dude job, but like the whole time, he was like in love with Jean Grey. You know what I'm talking about? And Cyclops was like, "Yo, that's my girl," but Wolverine didn't care. He was trying to get in that. You know what I'm saying?
The meme where he's sitting down in the bed and looking.
Looking at the picture.
That's Jean Grey. He's like Jean Grey.
So you know, like there were things like that. There were a lot of adult themes, but the funny thing that I always thought happened in anime is that you have, you know, they always did this fan service stuff where, like, for some reason, all the females had very large titties. I don't understand. I never understood that. And like, or big butts, or like for some reason, like even if it was like an action oriented anime, right, or manga, like they'd be fighting or whatever, but they're fighting like in a skirt, and like, you know, the character they're fighting is too strong, so they get knocked down. But the position they fall in, right, when they're on the floor, it's like the POV of the camera is like from under the skirt. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why?
Not only that, they have like the perfect arch. Like they fall with like they're ready to be fucking massacred in the butt. Like they have the perfect arch. It's like, what is going on? Like,
and it's like, it's not even like we were looking for that kind of stuff. Like we're not weirdos. Like at that age we were just trying to look at cool action oriented things, and you see this stuff and like you're like, wait. Like
this is a different type of action.
There's a lot of freakiness in these. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of freakiness, but for some reason, even though all this was there, the characters that like actually liked each other, because there was always that. You know, it didn't matter if you were watching like Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers or anime or reading manga. The characters in the manga, they like each other, but they would never ever like take that next step. They would like hold back, and I think it's part of maybe a little bit of Japanese culture too, like where people are very shy. There's a lot of formality, and I was just like, wait. So you got characters who are ready to stab other people, like Wolverine was ready to stab Cyclops to get the gene, but in the manga, like, oh, they have to, you know, you're 15 years old and you have to protect the world from getting blown up, yet you can't talk to a girl. Like,
right.
I remember it's a part of Naruto where like, bro, like literally all of Konoha is destroyed, right? And Hinata says, "I love you." to Naruto. But it still takes him about 3 years for him to figure out, like, yo, that's wifey.
Yeah.
Dude, you could have really busted some cheeks before you went to the ninja war.
Right.
You could have took her to the back of some broken up houses and clapped them cheeks.
Right.
But that wasn't.
We had to wait a whole off-screen timeline to happen for it to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he could have gave her that clone jutsu fantasy. You know what I'm talking about?
You ever heard of a DP? Nah, bro. He got more than that, bro. But also, the big breasts are also a symbolization of what Asian men are like really attracted to. Also, it's funny because if you like look at men in anime, they don't portray Asian men ever, almost ever. Like most of them look like you would think as Western men. Naruto, fucking yellow hair, blue eyes, and even when it comes to like when you look at other anime, a lot of the characters are bulky, strong, like big, heavy set. Yeah. Asian men aren't like that. You see Asian culture, they're very slim, slender. So it's like it's also like a play on both. Like this is what like Asian women like, what they would love to see. But that's not what they get. And then as opposed to like huge breasts, fucking Asian men idolize Western women for having huge breasts. That's why they put it on there. I mean, to a point it becomes abnormal. But for the most part, that's the creativity part. That's what they like. You know, in Western comics, they put like the perfect figure. Yeah. It's like a nice, yeah. But for anime, like I said, imagination, bro. They hold nothing back, bro. Yeah. They don't care about proportion. They want it all. Bro, it'd be like 80 pounds of breast on their chest and they're just running with them like nothing. Fucking flipping around and fighting with swords and nothing.
Yo, one of the craziest, so since we're on the topic of anime and manga, and we mentioned Toonami earlier before we actually started the podcast. So Toonami, for those that don't know, so I think this was more of when I was in junior high school going into high school. So this was like late 90s going into early 2000s. Toonami was on Cartoon Network, and they would air a lot of actual animes that were brought over to the U.S. and they were dubbed in English, so that everything's it's said in English.
That's how we were first.
So this is how
that was like the first like foot into the door.
Yeah. So this is how we got it. This is I think the main way people got introduced to Dragon Ball Z, right? It was very popular.
But we didn't know that we didn't know it was an anime.
Yeah, we all thought it was just
from a manga.
Yeah, we
just thought it was a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
We had no idea it came from Japan.
But you knew the difference. You knew that Dragon Ball Z was about it. Like
you know this was something different.
Yeah, like that. That's what it was. Yeah. Like you knew, like yo, when they fight, they fight.
Yeah, like, you're like I've never seen this.
You've never seen somebody get sliced in half. You've never seen somebody get sliced into 100 pieces.
Or get a whole.
I.e., Frieza got smoked by Trunks when he got sliced. But like you've never seen that. Like.
He said,
but like you've never seen it, so you knew it was different. You just didn't know it was anime yet. Like
Yo, Silos, I hope you include like small clips of some of the stuff that we're mentioning. These are like iconic moments.
Yeah.
These are iconic moments in a lot of people's childhoods. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just hope I won't get copyrighted, but I'll try.
All right, do your best.
I'll do my best.
But like, so Toonami showed a lot of different animes that we didn't know were animes. Now, I actually happened to catch a small sliver of Dragon Ball Z before Toonami came on. They used to show it on. I don't know if you guys ever watched like what was it, UPN? There was like a network called UPN. It was like on Channel 9 if you were living in New York City. And on Sundays, very early in the morning, they would show cartoons that you just normally wouldn't see any other time during the week. And I saw Dragon Ball Z on there for the first time. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And then I also saw something called they called it Techno Man, but the actual name in Japan was like Tekka Man Blade or something like that. It was an anime. It was this guy who used the crystal to jump into a robot and fight other robots, like alien robots or something like that. It was crazy. You wouldn't see it. And that's how people got introduced to Gundam as well. Like Gundam is, bro, Gundam was Gundam Wing.
Gundam was Heat.
G Gundam and Gundam Wing are by far my favorites. Yo, like you look at D Money. Hold on,
bro. I haven't seen that shit in so long. No, honestly, I haven't seen that shit in so long. But that shit was heat. That shit was heat. That was like in comparison, that was like if you wanted to put Power Rangers on steroids.
Pretty much.
Yeah, literally.
Bro, it was great. It was so great. It was such a good time to be
Power
at that
Rangers,
age. At that age, enjoying those
Mighty
cartoons.
Morphin. We all grew up on Mighty Morphin.
Bro, Mighty Morphin, and I know for some people, depending on like your age, you know, there were different.
Oh, come on.
Oh, hold on, D Money's ready. D Money's ready.
Shout out to the Pink Ranger. Ever since I was 5, I always wanted to clap her shit, bro. Oh no, Pink Ranger's
What's her name?
on.
What was her name?
Kimberly.
Kimberly. Oh my god, bro.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yo, I mean, yeah, man, Power Rangers is you know, I mean, you look at it now, you know, at where we're at now, and it looks really silly. But at the time, as a kid, you think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Shit.
You think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Yo,
you know?
when we were growing up, we had a life size. Oh, not life size, like a 1-to-3 scale blue Power Ranger toy.
I do not remember that. You sure? It was blue.
It was soft though. It was like
Oh, that was yours.
toy. Yeah,
That was yours. I remember that. I had like a 1/3 scale Megazord, but the thing is though, it was whack because the only thing you can move on you couldn't even move like you could only move the arms like up and down. Like the arms didn't bend. And for some reason, like the legs were completely stiff except for the feet. Like you could move the feet up and down, but you couldn't move anything else on it. So shit, like it was whack. It was whack. Like I wanted to take them apart and put them back together, like in the cartoon, but I couldn't do it because they wouldn't spend them. You know, my parents never bought me the one that you could actually completely take apart. Like I had like the whack like $5 one from the gift shop on like East Tremont Ave. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
You know what's a pet peeve of mine? Right, we usually do this on the podcast. But
What irks you?
what irks me? Oh my god. Speaking of Power Rangers, right? The biggest pet peeve of mine, and this is in general to all shows, is when you have people fighting and niggas get in a circle and wait for you to smoke them one by one. That shit gets me tight, bro. That's true. Bro, like they were just like, all right, go, you next. Like, nigga, he smoked the 5 niggas right before you. What makes you think you're gonna have a chance? Like,
That's like in any source of media. Like it's usually like one by one. Especially action movies, you can see like one by one. Like the other guy in the background is doing this. Like he's shaking his.
Yo,
He's in his fighting stance. Like what the fuck are you doing?
he's like, oh, I gotta wait. You gotta be polite. You gotta be polite for the fight.
Or like watching It Man. Like they went one by one.
and
Or, like,
and it's the funny part is they're watching their friend get smoked with no emotion. Like, like you would think that after they see their friend get smoked so fast, they're like, whoa, they'd be shocked, but they're not.
Like it would be like so like you know your first man's goes in right and he gets like the combo right like so there was always that one guy there was always that one guy yes the one guy who always got it the worst he took the biggest L and the next dude's like like my man gets left in like a crumpled pile like on the corner and the other dude doesn't react he's like I'm next like really like you just saw what happened to your boy and you want a piece why would you do like why would you just hit him with a bat like from behind like why would you go up front and like square up like you saw it just your man just got wrecked like his bones are broken like he's done like why would you
But in all respects, those are the realest niggas in the world, bro. They respected Ninja Code, bro, or whatever it was. They were like, nah, bro, we only fight 1v1.
1v1, yeah.
It's honor. 1v1, honor. I don't care if your boy gets smoked, it's honor. And they have balls, bro, because right after this friend gets smoked, they jump right in without question. They didn't hesitate.
So that's what irked you the most. You know what irked me growing up the most?
What?
Like,
talk about it
from like
talk about it
like anime and stuff. Me and my bro, who's sitting right across from me, my bros, we used to go to Manhattan, Washington Heights to like visit family members.
where all the Dominicans play
Right. Now, while we were over there, we'll walk around. They had a whole bunch of stores. You walk in, they have a lot of like collectibles.
you talking about the gift shops the
gift shops. Now, we went into this one gift shop, and you know what they fucking had in there?
What?
Now, we grew up watching Yu-Gi-Oh!
all right
And we loved watching Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right.
And my brother was like, yo, we should buy some Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards.
Yeah.
actually that was your idea
Oh, yeah. That
But I was
my
with
idea.
it. I was with it. I was with
like,
it.
yo, we should buy Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Like, yeah, we should learn how to play that. Like, we want to play the card game.
I just remember. Wait, hold on. It was the most ghetto thing ever. Go ahead.
No, this is the thing. We don't know where to buy them. We just say, all right, we didn't
know anything about these cards. Right. We didn't know we didn't know what was an official card. We didn't know what was the right. Bro, all right, go ahead.
All right, the first time we ever go out and buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards, we go to some random gift shop, some Dominican Papi brand gift shop, and we're looking, and then we see a tin box. Now the tin box is it says Yu-Gi-Oh on it. All right, cool.
But the rest was in Japanese.
Hold up, it says Yu-Gi-Oh on it. All right, boom, we copy. It was surprisingly cheap.
Nigga said Yu-Gi-Oh on it and had a Pokemon in the front cover.
Yeah, it's funny. We seen Pokemon too, but we just watched the show. We never got into the trading. We didn't really know that. Well, we had Pokemon cards.
Pokemon was whack. I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for that.
Ooh, you're gonna get crucified. We can come back to that.
Pokemon was ass.
Hold up. So there's Pokemon trading cards, but we own some, but just we never really whatever. They're just collectibles, like baseball cards. They're just collectibles. It's not like you can summon a baseball player. I summon fucking Jackie Robinson.
Sammy Sosa.
Fucking Sammy Sosa. But anyway, I'm digressing. So we went to the fucking Washington Heights gift shop ran by Dominican Papi. Dominican Papi was like, yeah, $4.
Did he just guess the price?
Bro, $4.
You should have knew.
I was like, damn, this is a good price.
You know, Dominican Papi used the wrong currency. He's like, 4 pesos. But you give him $4.
Yeah.
He really meant pesos, bro.
Right.
He really meant pesos.
Dominican Papi, I'm pretty sure he's on an island somewhere. He definitely got his money's worth. Bro, we bought it. It came with over 100 or 100.
It was 100 cards. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Two decks worth.
Bro, that's $60, bro. That was because a deck was $30.
I know. Yeah, it was expensive.
We had no idea. We didn't know what we were doing.
All right, we bought the cards. We go back home. Whatever.
Let's play.
Yeah, and we're looking at the cards and
Yo, these effects are really weird.
Wait, what's funny? You know it's bad when little kids have never seen a Yu-Gi-Oh card and they still know something's off with the first Yu-Gi-Oh card that they've ever seen in their life.
Bro.
That is sad.
So I'm like, yo, bro, this is pretty dope because it's shiny and it's reflective, but something's weird. Why can't I read this? I'm like, I know I'm not illiterate. So I show him. He's like, oh shit, that's in another language. Bro, it was in Japanese.
Niggas couldn't even know the effects of their own card. Bro, we didn't. So because it was the only deck we could afford at the time, we made up our. We said, okay, well, based on the TV show, we remember this card. We'll just say that it's this effect based on the TV show.
We went based off the TV show.
Bro, it was the most ghetto, most ghetto game of Yu-Gi-Oh ever played.
But what was even funnier was that we actually played a few games, and so we realized all right, we're doing it wrong. So my brother was like, no.
Actually, so not to cut you off, but the reason why I realized is because when I was in high school, I actually happened to run into 2 other students who were at my school during lunchtime who were actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was watching them, and I asked them about it, and then I looked at their cards. I'm like, yo, these look a lot more legit than the crap that we have at home, where that shiny part of the cards was starting to peel off, you know?
Right.
The fucking cards smell like fucking chicken over rice. It smell like halal. You know, what's wrong with this? You smell the glue coming off and shit.
You're like, yo, these cards smell like tostones. What's going on?
Holy shit.
Yo, why every time I play Yu-Gi-Oh, I get hungry?
Yo. So we finally realized, he was like, all right, we're going to go to East Tremont Ave, and we're actually going to go to a store that sells video games, trading cards, stuff.
This Yu-Gi-Oh store was in a dangerous spot because you walked up East Tremont. We would walk by my old school that I went to kindergarten. I think it was called IS6 or PS6.
Come out. I think I know when you're talking about. They used to play Magic there.
Mm-hmm.
They used to play
Gathering.
Bro, I used to live on that block, down the block, and you take a right corner. I used to live right there on Taylor Avenue.
Really?
So I was literally I was a block away from that card place. I know exactly.
We probably ran into him. He probably said, "Yo, run your cards."
I was a badass kid.
Every time I see D Money, I feel like, man, I know he must have bugged me at least once. I knew, it was you. It was you.
the earring with the fucking earring.
Yo, run your fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards, my nigga.
You know what's funny? Yo, bro, I was bad back then, bro.
know
I was
you were
real bad. I used to wear do-rags and shit, bro. Yes. Totally different
When we
kid.
saw you on the corner, we walked on the other block across the street. Yo, there's a green light. Yo, my nigga, across the street.
Yeah. All right, so back to this car store. I know what y'all talking about.
Yeah.
So the bad thing about this car store is that we would go to the car store, but right next to the car store, there was a Chinese food spot, and they had good food. Yeah. I bought. Well, I didn't buy it, but we got a lot of Chinese food there for a long time. And then on the same block, there was a pizza shop.
Oh, Joe's Pizza.
Yes, I think that was it. I'm assuming that was it because I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Joey.
The owner.
Good pizza.
Joey bag of donuts.
OD good pizza.
They're one of the reasons why I actually my first experience with pizza, I actually didn't like it. I actually didn't like pizza first. Yeah. But then they're one of the spots that actually got me to like pizza.
Joe?
When I used to live with Joe was dead ass the coolest guy, bro. Like,
right.
Coolest fucking pizza guy ever. And that's why I fucking liked pizza too. Like, bro, he was like, you called me, you walk in, you with open arms, not on some rapey shit. But like
on some family.
Yeah, on some because his son worked there too. So it's a family owned business. Like,
right.
you got a sense of family in there. So like that spot was like dumb lit. Yeah, super lit.
Yo, you know what's funny? So we used to go to that shop a lot, and every time we went, there were people there playing because I guess they were having like a mini tournament or something like that.
They were Magic.
And not just Magic. Sometimes they were playing Yu-Gi-Oh as well, and that's when we bought.
That was his son.
That's when we bought B-Money when we tried to take our cards.
Subconsciously, he said that. We must have ran into him. We had to have run into him.
I feel like, but
we bumped shoulders something, bro.
Yo, so not to go to, not to keep going on the tangent, but right. When we bought our first official decks there, we could tell there was a way to tell like the cards would have a little sticker in the like the little foil in the corner.
Bottom right.
Yes, in the bottom right corner. That's how you know they were official. So we would buy. So at this point, I had convinced my dad to give me allowance. Right? Like he gave me $20 a month. Yeah. So I had to make $20 stretch over a month.
I thought it was a week.
No. That's what you thought. You were at the age where $20 was like limitless, right? Like I could buy the world.
That's $20 a week.
Nah, bro. Because I stretched it.
Yo, I know he's starved.
So, with $20, with $20, I would buy one bacon, egg, and cheese a week. Because at my high school, I went to DeWitt Clinton High School, and at lunchtime they would let us go out, and there was a spot right by the high school called Big G's Deli.
Here's the important question. At that time, how much was the bacon, egg, and cheese? Because these shits are expensive.
It must have been $150.
Yo, you guys, all right, let me tell you. It
must have been $150.
Back then, $20 a month was enough because you could get a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll. And you could get like they had 50-cent bottled drinks. Basically, it's like a Snapple bottle, but it wasn't even Nutties. Tropical Fantasy. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Nutty. You know why they call it Nutties, right?
I have no idea because we didn't call it that.
Affected your sperm cells, like.
Oh, because all that chemicals, all those chemicals, the sperm killers. That's why I stayed away from Mountain Dew, but I didn't know Tropical Fantasy did that too.
That was the plan B, but for men. Like,
got you. Actually, I remember hearing about that like way after the fact. I'm like, man, my sack was empty by now because I drank so many.
It was radioactive. Like that's how bad it was.
Yo, I should be Spider-Man by now.
Yo, bro,
that's what you hope. He's like, they're like, we gotta talk to you. He's like, it's about those tropical fantasies. The doctor, he's like, oh my god, I'm Spider-Man. I said, no, you have testicular cancer, sir.
Bro, they put a Geiger counter to your nuts,
bro. Yeah, it was off the charts.
It was Chernobyl, like the radioactive. Yeah.
So yeah, we used to go there. And we used to get the bacon, egg, and cheese. You would get a bacon, egg, and cheese and a Tropical Fantasy, bro. The whole thing, if I remember correctly, was somewhere around $2 for bacon, egg, and cheese and a Tropical Fantasy. Wow. It was the perfect breakfast for a high school student
for a month.
How much?
Like a bacon, egg, and cheese and a Tropical Fantasy was like $2. Bro, I'm not even lying.
Bacon, egg, and cheese now is $3.
So you know what I would do?
$3.50.
You know what I would do? So I don't know if you remember, but my dad used to drive me to school when he could, which was most days.
He would drop you off first and then drop me off.
I used to piss everybody off first period, and when I would get to class, because I would show up with a bacon, egg, and cheese on a hero. I was the skinniest dude in class, but I ate the
wouldn't get a
most.
bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll. No, this nigga got a bacon, egg, and cheese on a hero.
I was the skinniest dude in class. I would show up to the 8 a.m. I think it was like 8:15 a.m. And I would show up to class with a bacon, egg, and cheese on a hero and a tropical fantasy. I bring that in. It smells so good. It filled up the whole class to the point where a few weeks in, and I'm surprised it went on for this long. But the teacher was like, "Listen." One day I walked in. She just like, "Hey, let me talk to you outside real quick." I was like, "Okay." She walked me outside. She walked me outside the class, and I have my bacon, egg, and cheese and my tropical fantasy in my hand. And she's like, "Listen, you can't keep bringing this into class. You have to either eat it before you come into class or don't bring it in." I was like,
why? Why?
Because it was distracting the whole class. Everybody wanted a piece of my bacon, egg, and cheese on a hero. People kept asking me for a piece. This one girl started asking me regular, and after like 3 times, I told her, I was like, "Listen, I can't. You're gonna have to bring in your own breakfast. Like, I don't know. Like, I get these before, like I can't keep giving you my food. Like everybody else, I don't have enough for everybody.
Right.
I'm gonna keep bringing it in anyway, but I don't.
It was a teacher, bro. She was fucking bitch, bro. She wanted a piece. She wanted the piece. That's what it was. Yeah. And since you didn't share with her, bro, she was really tight.
She was tight with you, yeah.
Bro, $2 got you a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll. Or you could get a cheeseburger deluxe, which is basically like cheeseburger with cheese, tomato, lettuce, onions, ketchup, mayo, or whatever else you liked, and a drink and fries in a little, because you get that little white styrofoam box.
How much?
Cheeseburger deluxe with a drink was like $3.50. Bro, it was like $3.50.
It's $5 now.
Yeah, it's $5 now.
Bro, back then $20 went a long way. Bro. I would get $20, and I would go. I remember I would go a whole month, right? Didn't buy anything. I would go out with my friends to Big G's Deli. I didn't buy anything. I went a whole month just so I could buy a couple Yu-Gi-Oh packs for my brother.
Damn. Yo, you're about to make me cry.
But no, don't cry because sometimes when we got the packs, I would keep the best cards for myself.
No wonder I have so many fucking like the monster that was a card.
Yeah. Carlos is like, how come I never get any holographics? Like, Carlos is like, yo, I got no fucking holographics, no dark magician, no blue eyes dragon.
Yo, I can tell you about how much. Yo, this could be a whole nother episode. Like, I could tell you about how much I was tormented as a child, and how much I tried to torment my brother as well.
Yeah, he was pretty relentless.
Yeah,
but I did actually some packs. I would just let you take the whole pack. I wouldn't. But I wouldn't do that every time.
Going back to the Yu-Gi-Oh thing, at one point we bought so many tin. We bought tin. We bought
decks.
Look, bro, you see this folder right here? Mad Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It's crazy. And then
Yu-Gi-Oh cards right now?
Actually, hold up.
And then that bottom jar.
Actually, there is something that irks me right now. I gotta talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's related to Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Oh my god!
When I went to, so we had a lot of cards, right? We built up a lot of cards to the point where my other friends who had Yu-Gi-Oh cards would come and they would come and duel me, right?
Yeah.
But I went to college and I said, Carlos, I'm going to college. I'm a man now. I mean, why do you have to say that?
Which I cried when he said, "Hey, I'm going to college. How far away?" Oh yeah, I'll be another state away. I'll be close to Canada, pretty much. And I was like,
"Where'd you go?"
I went to Rochester.
Oh, Rochester right next to Buffalo. Yeah, that shit is far.
Yeah.
And while you were crying, he told you he was a man now.
Yeah, he said, "I'm a man now." I was like, "Oh, okay." So when people grow into men, they move really far away.
Actually, so like, I cried. Carlos was like, I don't ever want to be a man.
Yeah, like, I don't want to.
You gotta understand though, like I was also only 17 going to 18. I didn't know what I was saying. Like I was not a man. Like I was far from it. You know what I'm saying? And but that's what I like. So I was like, listen. I'm leaving. I'm saying that. I'm gonna start saying that. Like, I'm a man now. Like, for anything, like.
In Toys R Us, they say I'm a big kid now. No,
yes,
bro,
I'm a man now.
So I told him,
I was like, listen, you're the man of the house now, and that, with all the responsibilities that comes with, that means that, I can't be playing with these Yu-Gi-Oh cards anymore. And I was like, I bequeath to you my Yu-Gi-Oh card collection. I was like, it's sacred to me. It's won me a lot of duels with other younger kids who weren't as good as me. And please, keep these close to your heart. Keep them safe. And I left for college. Bro, I came back a year later, half of my rarest cards were gone, bro. He either traded them or lost them in a duel. I have never been so angry in my life.
I can't even argue with him because he's 80% of that story is right.
You know what I used to hate, bro? You know what I fucking used to hate, son? That playing Yu-Gi-Oh! As kids, like, you know, it was never official. Like, when kids played Yu-Gi-Oh!, it was always some shiesty shit.
Yeah.
Like, I had
to fight niggas halfway through.
Bro, I always had a friend who used to pre-prepare his deck. So you'd lose in like 5 turns. And bro, I used to hate niggas like that. Yeah. I used to be like, yo, how'd you? He's like, yo, my deck is just fire. I'm like, nah, shuffle your shit. And he do the fake shuffle where he like put half in the bottom and then put half back.
Top, yeah.
I was like, bro, I see, like, come on, son. That's crazy. Honestly, in my career, I was probably like 2 for 32, bro. Like, like, yo, bro, I used to always, I don't know about, always used to fall for shiesty niggas, bro. Like, that really was, because I used to be confident, bro. They used to be like, I don't know if I'm gonna win. Like, and there was always be, those dudes are always the ones prepared, bro, with the pre-prepared deck, son. I used to spend hours trying to fix my deck up.
Yeah.
Yo, you know what's funny too?
Fucking A-Train with his zombie deck. He had a zombie deck. That shit used to get.
Yeah, but that was far. That was like that's far in the future of that whole story. We're not gonna get into that. But like the one thing I do want to say though is that he's right. D-Money's right. Like people wanted to cheat because nobody wanted to lose, and they wanted every time you do is like, yo, post up your best card. Like you can't don't put it in your deck, but post it up. Like, but bet it. And it's like, why? You know, they want to take your best card, and then
do I have a story?
And then they would make up like a whole set of their own rules. And I'm like, yo, bro, have you read like? Yeah. And then when you're playing, they try to do stuff that makes no sense. And I'm like, yo, you can't activate this card at this point in the duel. Like, what are you doing? Like, there's a rule book. Follow it.
All right, go.
There was also another group of niggas that I hated, right? And these are the niggas that used to these These are the niggas who used to act out the pain when I used to take away life points. I remember that. This is a pat like nigga, I didn't really hit you, bro. Like,
because of the cartoon. That's why.
Yeah, bro.
She was like,
I used to hate that shit, bro. I used to want to push.
My Blue Eyes White Dragons attack. I'm like, I'm on fire.
Yo, some of them. Like what? I had this one friend who used to get me tight because he used to do like a Metal Gear sound effect, like you know when you die, like like what the fuck are you like? He's like, why is that echo?
What was that noise?
Like yo, he used to echo his pain. Like I used to get. Do
it. I know you know it.
No. Yeah, you know I know it, but like
they used to die like Snake.
I was not that dude, right? Like I just wanted to play the game, you know, for like the strategy aspect of it. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh! So before I used to actually be embarrassed about the fact that I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I thought it was like one of the most nerdiest things you could possibly do. So I would never tell anybody. The funniest thing that happened to me, on a tangent on the tangent, is when I was in college, I had my deck still. It was ready to go at any time. It was ready to go.
I had a tin
He had a dual disc. Me too.
What? I
had one.
I never had one. So I never had a dual disc. I remember Carlos having a dual disc.
And I dueled with it and I still lost.
Man, this dual disc is bullshit, bro.
Bro, for some reason I thought me having a dual disc would like increase my chances of winning exponentially. I just look like a fucking dweeb losing with that. Like I thought I was like a master of cards at that point. Like
everybody out here trying to be Kaiba or whatever. Like,
Yugi.
So, when I was in college, like I don't know how I got to this conversation, but I met a friend through another group of friends, and he happened to work at the library on campus where I worked at. He just worked on a different floor in a different job, and I stayed on campus for a summer to make some extra money and everything. And we were just talking about cartoons and other show, and I'm like, yo, this dude is mad cool, because it was this guy who was like a really brolic dude, so like he's into weightlifting. And when you first meet him, you know, if he's got his normal serious face on, he might be a little bit intimidating. But when you get to know him, he's actually one of the nicest guys I've ever known in my life. He's actually one of my best friends now. But he like somehow we got to the topic of cartoons and then we started talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. But I was acting like oh Yu-Gi-Oh, it's silly, whatever. Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh. I was like, yo, man, you play Yu-Gi-Oh, bro? He's like, yeah, I play Yu-Gi-Oh. And I was like, actually, me too. Really? He was like, really? His eyes lit up.
Yo, shit.
Yo, you know what's crazy?
Holy shit, that's crazy.
Our generation has gone through so much. Like, I don't know if there were card games back then. Were there card games in the 80s,
If
70s?
they were basic.
I don't think
Very
I don't-
basic.
so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know either.
like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic, those became... Magic is still fucking popular as shit. So is
Magic and
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Pokemon were
Yeah.
the first ones.
But, like, those are international. Like, these are international worldwide games. Like, we went through so much. Like, we got adult cartoons, we got anime, we got, like, shit, like card games and things like that. And it's funny how, like, people, when it first came out, a lot of people saw it as childish, like immature, like, and now everybody eggs that shit on. Like, it's a cool thing to do now. Like, it's cool. Niggas, a lot of people make money off of that shit too. Yeah. Magic cards and shit like that. If you're still into that, like Yu-Gi-Oh, you make a lot of money off of that if you're really good. As if you're good. As if you're good. Like, as if you're good.
So
You've actually participated in
So I met a friend through an ex of mine. I actually this guy. It's funny. It's a funny story. I can't believe how much we're talking about this right now.
Hey,
I cannot believe how much we're talking about this right now.
Go.
This will be like 2 episodes worth. So I met this guy.
This is gonna be the New Year's special.
All right, the New Year's special hour long.
I'm gonna push this one forward.
All right. So I met this guy through my ex, and it turns out that he played Yu-Gi-Oh. I didn't know this at first, but I was told about it, and I was like, okay, I'll meet this guy, and it was even more surprising because not only did he play Yu-Gi-Oh, but him and his wife played Yu-Gi-Oh. They would go together to tournaments, and they would play. And they were like all about it. And I was like so shocked because growing up in New York City, certain people, like, if they knew you played a card game of any kind, it didn't matter if it was Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, whatever. Like, if you weren't playing spades or some like old school or CeeLo or some old school like Dominican or Puerto Rican
Texas
or
Hold'em.
Jamaican or whatever card game, it was nerdy.
It was over.
Like, it was a nerd. If you were playing anything other than if it didn't have like a suit on it,
Right,
it was nerdy.
You were getting your lunch money taken, and you were like, "Yo, see me after school." Like, it was over.
Well, I don't know about you guys. My lunch money never got taken because I never had lunch money on me. But but like, you know why? You know why?
He's like, "Yo, A-Trade, give me your fucking lunch money," but I don't have that.
In my school, they would like try to drop your pants when you weren't looking, but you will only get caught.
Everyone drop your pants and try to suck your dick. What's that?
Yo, why you always gotta take it? No. They would just drop your pants because the thing is, they wanted to catch you wearing tighty whities. Because if you wore if you wore anything other than boxers, you were made fun of for the rest of the school.
You know what would be the only horrible drawback if you had the fattest dick in the world, and you just and all the girls
still get made in front of.
No,
you have a fat dick. Like,
no, because now you know he's getting all the bitches.
yeah, but he's gonna get on the bitches, but he's still gonna be embarrassed.
Because it's like, they're gonna pants you, and then like, you know how they pants you and then they run in front of you and point at you like, you gotta, oh goddamn, nigga.
Yo,
what the fuck is that?
Yo, quick digression. I was in high school and in gym class, this one dude who was my friend, he got pantsed by some other nerdy kid. He wasn't nerdy, but he got pantsed. Yo, when he got pantsed, everybody in the gymnasium saw. Everybody saw him get pantsed. There was like 50 people in the gym. Yeah. Bro, he was perfectly fine, but he was cracking his fists. Bro, it was over. When we got to the gym locker, he grabbed the kid, pushed him on the fucking locker, and he was like, "Yo, what the fuck you think you're doing, bro?" He was like, "I'm sorry."
This kid was immediately apologizing.
And I felt so bad for the kid. You know how I saved them? I saved that kid that day.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that twist.
No, but the other guy was my friend. The guy.
The guy who got put up. Hold on, the guy who got pants who was pushing this kid up against the locker was your friend. Oh,
and I felt bad.
Usually it's the other way around.
No, I felt bad for the nerdy kid. So you know what I said? While he had him up on the locker, I said, laughing. I was like, yo. I was putting my sneakers on. I was like, chicken in China, the Chinese chicken.
Have a drumstick and the man starts cooking.
Yo, everybody was like, yo, what the fuck?
That was the most random shit. Yo, there's a backstory to that.
He started, the guy who put the other guy in the locker started laughing so hard that he let him go, dusted him off, and was like, yo, if you ever do that shit again, you're fucking dead. And he came up to me. He said, "Yo, if you didn't do that, he would be fucking like mashed potatoes on the floor, bro. It would have been over."
Hold on. There's never a threat like the one where you get like when they put you back down, they dust you off, they clean you back up. Like, you know what? Let me get you back to the state you were before I yoked you up against the locker.
Yo,
if you do this again,
it's over.
You're dead. He cleaned you up. He cleaned you up before making the threat. That is like some mafia level stuff right there.
I saved his life that day.
Oh man, bro, that is a masterpiece, bro. And the worst I've seen, it started off the same thing in gym.
Yeah. I know this is about the gymnasium. That makes it such a dangerous place.
The funny thing is that in the gymnasium, for us, they would kind of like split off the boys and the girls, so it'd just be all boys. It'd be like 30 dudes, and that's just a method of madness. Like when you have 30 guys, it's just like no filter. Like we all talk shit. Like. So it started one day, dude was talking shit, came out of school. I've never seen this in my fucking life, bro. But this dude got 7-pieced. I don't know how somebody gets 7-pieced in the fucking face.
I thought 2-piece was the highest.
Bro, I thought 2-piece and okay, let me move.
Up until I started watching boxing, I thought 2-piece was the highest.
Exactly. But no, this dude got 7-piece consecutively with no movement, no nothing. Like he just stood there. He got aired out. Bro. Dude, his head just kept like it was a bobblehead back and forth, bro. I've never seen, and bro, it looked so unrealistic that it was funny, bro. Like so deep. Like and then it just wasn't me because everybody started laughing and they were like, bro, what was that? I was like, I don't know. But that shit did not look real, son. Like, and the funny part was dude just walked off, bro. Like after the 7-piece, he just walked away.
The guy who got 7-piece or the guy who
just got 7-piece just walked away. He didn't know what to say.
I'm pretty sure he has brain damage. He had brain damage after that.
I don't think he knew what happened, bro. Yo, oh my god.
Yo, you know what's
what's the origin to the Chickadee China? I don't remember.
Okay, that was I was the one.
Oh, yeah, on TV.
This is the biggest digress I've ever heard on the show, and I'm a part of it, so I'm a little proud of that. But okay, so Chickadee China, the Chinese cricket. You can thank my friends for that.
Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken.
You can thank my high school friends for that because one of my friends gave me a copy. He ripped a copy or burned a copy of a disc that he made, of CD that he made with nothing but prank calls and like funny skits on it. There's just random stuff.
Was he the originator or he just made a rip?
I don't know if he was the originator, but he got a copy of the CD. He got a copy of the CD, and he gave me a copy.
The charger's right to your... Okay. Yeah.
He got me a copy, and...
I knew exactly what you meant when you did that.
He got me a copy, and I kept playing it over and over. And then obviously, you're my brother, so like we were living in the same room. So if I'm listening to something, I'm laughing, he's gonna want to hear it. And depending on what that is, like it wasn't really like bad things, so I let him hear it.
For that other
stop, Carlos, it's hentai.
You can't listen to this. This is just the sounds of the characters being hurt in an extreme climactic action battle.
But
if you listen to the sounds,
that's what he meant.
If you listen to the sounds by itself, it sounds like just hentai, But they gave me the CD, and one of the skits on there was they do a prank call. It might have been all from one like radio show, I think is what it was. But they called the Chinese food place, and they they called the Chinese food spot, and they said, the person, oh hi, what would you like to order? And he's like, okay. They goes, oh, I want Chickadee China. And they're like, what? Like the people on the phone, like they're obviously like Chinese as well. And they're like, what do you want? They're like, we want Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. And they're like, what? Like, what would you like to order? And they go, chicken de China, this Chinese chicken, have a jump stick, and your brain starts clicking. No, they would say cricking instead of clicking, which I think was probably like a little disrespectful. But you know, to a high school kid, who grew up in New York City, whose world is very small at first, right? Like I didn't know much. Yeah. My bubble was very small until I started traveling, but to me, it was the most hilarious thing in the world, you know? And that's where that came from. There was a whole skit. They kept these people on the phone for like minutes, like a couple minutes, messing with them the whole time. And every time the people on the phone would try to get the actual order out of them, they would just say, chickadee China, the Chinese chicken, have a drumstick, and your bass starts cricking. And that's where he got it from. It was my fault that you got exposed to that.
Right, but it saved somebody's life that day.
It did.
What are you talking about?
The kid who got pushed up against the locker didn't get fucking smoked because of your friends.
Yo, you never told me that story.
I know. I just
there's a lot of things that people don't tell each other, like
until
things that they went through in high school.
Everything comes to light.
Yeah. I said that.
Yeah,
I said that. But
D-Money is actually the originator of everything comes to light.
Yeah,
which is a little scary, but
it's true. Everything
comes to light. So.
Yeah, it's scary to think about.
little side shot.
Silos' hentai antics.
Yeah,
right. My hand. Yeah.
Everything comes to light, buddy.
So one day you'll see my browsing history.
Ooh, I don't. No, I'm good, bro.
Yeah, guys. I mean, what can I say? Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's. Any New Year's resolutions to like end it off?
Preferably stop drinking.
As he's drinking,
as I'm drinking Jack and Coke,
and as he's gonna drink into the new year,
yeah. He's like, "Oh, New Year's resolution. I'm not gonna stop," but I go into this stumbling and
exactly
with my blood alcohol level over 1.0, whatever.
No. What you do is, as the ball is dropping in Times Square, which by the way, I will never ever go down to that whole event.
Yeah, never.
That's crazy.
Unless you want to like.
You know what's funny though? My biggest concern, and I think this has to do with the fact that I'm in my early 30s right now, is my biggest concern is if I go down to that event and like people are there for hours, right? Like probably 3, 4, 5 hours even, because there's a lot of people in New York City. Is what am I gonna do when my brain tells me that I have to take a piss?
Are you pissed on something?
Two things are happening.
You piss on somebody's leg, bro. They don't even know it's
you. Yeah, you piss on somebody's leg. You find a side street where you could potentially get tackled by a group of unwanted people, or you go into a porta potty, which is the worst choice you can ever make.
Don't ever do that. Yeah.
Don't go into a porta potty because you're just gonna take a whiff of whatever the last 30 people were in.
Yeah. Which is
porta potties are the worst. I can go into that, but I'm not gonna do
a
that
mixture of like semen and chlamydia and
like,
oh my god.
Yeah. What's weird is like I've been into a porta potty before, and you're like, yo, that's not a human being was not here before.
That's not feces. That's not human
normal.
Feces. Yeah.
Somebody shit their intestine out.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
My New Year's resolution.
But I digress.
Yeah, right. We digress heavy. My New Year's.
Yo, the heaviest digress ever.
This is what we do. I think would be work out. Definitely get back to my regimen. I didn't do this too much in 2019.
I agree.
Yeah. I fucked up big time.
Lose a couple pounds.
Yeah, and
100 preferably.
Specifically.
Yeah.
And definitely get back to like what I used to be a couple of years ago. Like just like really in tune with working out and being fit.
Straight Debo.
Straight Debo. Like. Right. Straight
like
shred.
Not an ounce of like literally the only percentage of fat that you can have on to survive
is my dick.
Oh yeah. Right. The 3% of body fat is just all dick.
Straight dick.
And the rest is just muscle. Like the doctor's like, yo, how do you have 3% body fat? What can I say?
What can I say?
Yo.
But and also most importantly, over like working out is definitely 100,000% writing. Definitely.
That's dope.
Yeah.